What's up, everyone? It's the interview queen, Alicia Toot here, and be sure to watch True Heel Heat.
What's up, guys? It's Wolverine, Death Machine, Mr. GMSI himself, Brian Cage, and you're watching True Heel Heat. Who better? Nobody.
Welcome to True Heel Heat, the place where we use insider terms because we think we know what the fuck we're talking about, even though we don't. My name's Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and I'm better than you, and you know it.
We are almost in because we are just 48 hours away from AEW's biggest event of the year. It is me, your True Heel Phenom, SP3. We are live on the True Heel Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for AEW All In London 2024 preview, breaking down this Sunday's card from Wembley Stadium, London, England, and both people on this show will be there live because I am joined by my UK brethren, because I'm still in the UK. I'm still on my excursion abroad, and he is one of the Britt Rest best and the best in the overall landscape of wrestling media. You know the deal. It's an AEW pay-per-view, so there's only one person I call the man from the late night Grin, the man from WrestlePurists, your man and our man, and MJF's favorite Britt, Joel Hulbert, is here.
The intro is always. I noticed there was one moment there where you said Britt Rest best, and I think you knew in your head, you thought, I can do better than that. I appreciate the way you corrected on that. You saw my face, I kind of winced, and you was like, actually, the entire landscape, he's got to be among the best, which I appreciated. Great to be here. And you're right, we're both going to be in the building. This is exciting, man. It's strange. Events like this, you go for like a roller coaster, right? Like, but now we're almost there. I'm locked in. Yeah. I'm ready to go. So I'm fired up to talk about it, bro.
Once I got my ticket yesterday, I got the connect. I said it yesterday on our AEW preview. Shout outs to Seth Iyengi. I've been thanking him on any show I've been doing because he's the one that hooked me up with the ticket, because AEW's media department still on this anti-SP3 campaign. Wow. They've been on for the last couple of years, but thankfully I got friends in the right places. So ever since I got my ticket yesterday, the hype has heightened, because this is my first event ever in Wembley Stadium. I know you have been able to experience being from out here, a Wembley Stadium event. So I'm very excited for the show, but I like the positivity coming towards you, because the last time we had you on here, you were not that positive about AEW. And of course, we still probably got our issues with AEW, but we cannot deny that the excitement is here for this card on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm happy to be more positive on it, because I think there's some people enjoy being negative on these things, but the truth is, I would actually much prefer be very excited about it. I'm going to watch it regardless. I'm literally going to this. So I think the build for this show has been one of their strongest, and I think it's blown away last year's Wembley build. Now, yes, obviously, there are going to be differences with the show, and we'll get into this as we go here. This show isn't going to have the same novelty of, oh my God, can you believe they're running Wembley Stadium, right? You can only do it once, that's fine. But I'm very confident this is actually going to be a better wrestling show. I really do feel strongly about that. Maybe I'll be wrong, but the build has kind of helped it's kind of increased my confidence as they've gone. So yeah, I'm very positive on it. I think they've done a lot of good stuff on the road to Wembley.
Yeah, I was gonna say when I was like, uploading the graphics for each of these matches, I was like, the top 4 matches are probably the much better built top 4 than last year. I think
Yeah.
like last year, you could probably say MJF, Cole, Punk Joe, Bucks, FTR, and I don't even know what you would kind of Jericho and Ospreay. Those were
Yes.
solid builds, like overall solid builds. But when you look at like the top 4 of Swerve, Bryan, MJF, Ospreay, Mariah May, and Toni Storm, and Mercedes and Britt, that is like it kind of blows them out the water how well
Yeah.
they have like concentrated and focused on building those 4 as the top bills on Sunday.
And I think the biggest difference is it's so much more focused, right? Like the matches you mentioned before, the Bucks FTR one like came about at the last three. It was clearly a pivot. The Joe Punk thing, Punk had like 8 feuds going on and just like picked, I'll wrestle Joe at Wembley, which is fine by me, but that's definitely what happened. Let's be honest.
Yes.
So it's just you could see all these matches coming together like months ago. So it's just very different. I think that's a credit to them, and I think it's going to pay off on Sunday. I'm very bullish, and we'll go match by match. There's only one match on here that I'm like, good luck. The rest of them, I'm actually think going to be, and I think everyone can guess. But there's one match. Other than that, I'm fired up.
Yeah, I would say like once the bell rings, even the builds that I'm not like that happy with, I know when the bell rings, they are going to deliver in ring. And I think we're on the same page on that one match where we're just like, I've seen it enough, and it's just is what it is. But we're going to talk all about the card. We appreciate y'all if you are joining us live. Appreciate y'all if you are watching us on demand. Either way, show your appreciation back. The simplest way possible is by dropping the thumbs up on this video. Helps the YouTube algorithms and other professional wrestling fans or AEW fans like yourself to see this preview where we're going to break down the card, tell you what's going on in the lead up to these matches and give you our predictions. But we also want to hear your predictions as well. So if you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, sound off in the live chat. We love to interact with all of you guys. If you're feeling generous, you want to give back to what we do here and keep the True Heel Heat YouTube channel running, you could send a super chat donation. Any dollar amount matters, and it goes back to the supporters that you see here on screen. And we got our first super chat donation from our good brother, I Make Beats, one of the members of the channel. Thank you so much, I Make Beats, who says, happy all-in weekend, everyone. Here's to crying Bryan. I've already stated this, and I'll state it to you, Joe. I plan on probably crying on Sunday. And I don't know if I'm going to cry once or twice because I think I'm going to cry if I hear Final Countdown because I got very emotional. You were there in Chicago. So you like right before the show really got kicked off and going. But I posted the video on social media last September of me crying, hearing that Final Countdown and bringing me back to 18-year-old SP3 in the Hammerstein Ballroom. The first time I heard that music and had him come down to the ring, and it brought me back to there, and I got very emotional. But being in Wembley Stadium for what might possibly be his last match in the main event against a top star and world champion, I plan on crying if he comes out to that. Oh my God.
almost tears for different reasons, folks. Almost. We have technical difficulties here. We will navigate them accordingly.
She's come in like really like slamming the door against my knee usually, but never like she almost knocked out.
I don't know if that was a worse jump scare for you or me, to be honest. Because you were living it, but the camera went for me. I was like watching a movie. That was terrifying.
Oh, Jesus. It's like, yeah, there's no lock on this door, Nicky boy. I wish there was. Oh, my goodness. But yes, I'm going to be crying like my daughter. Going to be crying when I give her a stern talking to about coming in like that. But yeah, I think I'm going to cry during the entrance if I hear Final Countdown. And then I may cry if he wins the world title or if he loses. Either way, I think I might cry.
Yeah, I think it'll be very moving. I think, there's going to be the moment when the crowd all sings together. I think it'll be very powerful. I think people watching at home are going to have some tears too because, I just think it's going to be a very special presentation. Tony Khan is not always like perfect in terms of capturing, that big spectacle, pomp and circumstance, but certain wrestlers he feels strongly about, like Sting, for example. You saw that in Revolution, right? Where he got it right. I think this is going to be similar. I don't think this is going to be a modest affair. I think they're going to swing big. I think it's going to be a pretty beautiful setting for his maybe final match. We'll get into that. I'm not so sure, but it may be. We never know. That's Bryan Danielson wrestling for the world title.
Yes, Bryan Danielson, and I'll give you the stats that he provided in an interview of his last couple of title matches. So anything is up in the air for sure. We do have Nikki Boy in the chat with a super chat donation. Thank you so much, Negro Buck, who says, "What are the chances Jamie Hayter returned finally?" I mean, I've been trying to manifest it, Joel, on the channel here for months now on our Dynamite review. I've been saying it. I was like, Britt gets attacked after the matchup. Mercedes and Camille are beating her down, and then Jamie Hayter comes out for the save, a huge pop, or they can get Saraya to do like an open challenge in Wembley Stadium, and Jamie Hayter accepts it, or Mina Shirakawa chooses to team up with Mariah May and then jump in Timeless Toni Storm, and Jamie Hayter comes out to return and make the save for her former years-long rival in Timeless Toni Storm. There's a couple of different scenarios where I can see Jamie Hayter, and this does feel like the event. If she is healthy and ready to come back, you do it here.
I agree. I'm leaning towards the Saraya one. I think it will maybe more angled than like an actual, sanctioned match. I could see them doing a deal where Saraya like hijacks the show. I need my Wembley moment. I'm not leaving until, and then boom, you hit Jamie's music, you hit a lariat. I think if she, I say this, and I don't want to be dramatic, but I think you're going to get what I'm saying. If she's not there on Sunday, I think it's kind of alarming, to be honest. It's been a really long time. And again, I say that with love. I hope everything's good, but we're at 15 months.
We're at 16 months already.
It's crazy. So it kind of feels like she has to, because if she's coming back soon, you would do something at Wembley, right? So I don't know. Hopefully so. I'm leaning towards the Saraya one. They have emphasized Saraya talking about Wembley a lot, right? And so I think we're going to get something. I'm hoping so.
I got my fingers crossed because I feel like that's a big kind of benefit to this year's card in comparison to last year. Like we started off the show talking about, the women's division is like a complete 180 from last year, where the four-way matchup was kind of just haphazardly put together last minute. And we've had a 9-month build to the AEW Women's World Title matchup. The TBS Championship matchup, that kickstarted with the return of Britt Baker at Forbidden Door in June. And that is two of the biggest stars, as far as like female stars, that AEW has ever had in their company, in Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné. And I think that is a big kind of coup to this card in comparison to last year, is that the women's division has now become one of AEW's greatest assets.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think these are the shows you have to circle to track that. Like, we can talk about it on TV. Oh, they had like a big angle here, they had a big match here, and that's cool. But you most learn the hierarchy of a promotion when it comes to their biggest shows of the year. And to your point, the women's division development would be cool, but it would mean a lot less if it didn't translate to the Wembley card. Instead, we have two matches here that feel like big-time attractions, big-time matches. And one of those is due to star power, as you said. The other one is due to build, which I think they should be very proud of what they've done with that. But yeah, it's a huge positive. And the idea of being able to add Jamie Hayter to that is, that's they've got a squad. And this is, you add Jamie Hayter back and you assume eventually Athena's going to lose the Ring of Honor title. I assume, maybe in a couple of years.
I would hope. I mean, she's about to break our boy Joe's record in like a month.
Yeah, which is fine by me. Like, God bless. But, eventually, then you add her in, you've got Stat, you've got Willow, you've got the women on this card that on the main match is like, they got a real talented group there. So it's exciting for sure.
And they also got Julia Hart, who is one of like their big kind of I said this whole it's been like a buildup. A lot of people want to give it to, Mercedes came and then they finally cared about the women's division. No, It honestly started like 6 months before Mercedes came in. Like after All Out last year, they really focused on building Timeless Toni Storm and that character in the lead up to her winning the AEW Women's World Championship. And Julia Hart was the other kind of star that they built up after All Out and set her up to win the TBS Championship too. So Julia Hart coming back, I think, is also a big one. And like you said, Athena finally coming back to the AEW roster is needed as well.
Yeah, she's a huge piece for that division. I think it was very noticeable with Toni that was the first time that had a champ that it felt like Tony Khan was actually like really into booking. Like he likes the Toni Storm act, and rightly so, but that's where it always comes down to, right? You always can tell how much the booker's feeling an angle at any given moment. He loved that character, and so we started getting an increase. And I like the point about Julia too. So yeah, it's definitely been a steady progression, but it's good to see the year on year here at Wembley for sure.
Absolutely. But yes, keep coming in with your comments, your thoughts on the card on AEW All In London. And of course, said no super chat donations because they help out the channel as well. But before we get into the main card, let's talk about the 0 Hour. The aforementioned Willow Nightingale will be on 0 Hour, their CMLL Women's World Champion. She'll be teaming up with NJPW's own and a member of the conglomeration, Tomohiro Ishii, or as Mark Briscoe said, my boy, big time out here. And they'll be going up in a mixed tag team matchup against Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway. Of course, this whole feud started at Double or Nothing when Willow lost the AEW TBS Championship to Mercedes Mone. It was Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway who turned on her. Following that, we've seen a couple of matches between these two ladies, with Willow picking up the win in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament over Chris Statlander, but Chris getting involved in the finals, which led to Willow losing in the finals. Then you had Chris Statlander picking up a victory over Willow Nightingale in a CMLL Women's World Title Eliminator matchup. It seemed like they were setting up a title match for either this pay-per-view All Out. It was announced their match will go on at All Out, and this match will be very important to that because the winner will pick the stipulation for September 7th when they face for the CMLL Women's World Title. But it also included Willow making the challenge that she was teaming up with Ishii to first Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway, and Chris Statlander accepted the challenge and has been posting some very funny videos on social media of her trading with Stokely Hathaway, who doesn't seem like the most confident going into this bout. But I think that this is going to be very different from every other matchup on this card. This is very much a comedy matchup with Stokely being involved here. And I just can't wait for Stokely to take some Ishii chops or take an Ishii lariat. That's what this match is for me. But what have you thought about the build to this matchup, the rivalry between Willow and Statlander, and who do you think wins on Sunday?
So this is kind of a complicated one for me, hilariously. It shouldn't be really, but this is how you complicate these things for the sake of content. I'm really pumped for this because, like, look at the graphic, like Stokely Hathaway is going to wrestle at Wembley Stadium. Ishii wrestling at Wembley Stadium is pretty sweet. I mean, look at this. Like, it doesn't get any better. This is all glorious, and I can't wait to see it. The only part of my brain that's a little, like, I don't know if they've done a great job of maintaining, like, the initial tone of the feud. Like how serious it was when she first turned, Chris, that is. So I do think there's a fair critique to be made about, is this the right tone for this feud? The thing is that an argument I want to make? Not really, because at the end of the day, Tomohiro Ishii is going to lariat Stokely Hathaway at Wembley Stadium, and I can't really argue with that. So I'm all in. I think it's a great way to open a show with a pre-show, warm the people up with some fun. You won't burn any high spots for the main guys. Like, I think it's perfect. So the result, I assume, will be Ishii and the big brain buster on Stoke and getting a win at Wembley Stadium, which is an amazing sentence to say out loud. So this will be fun, I think, definitely.
This is the payoff to Tomohiro Ishii's summer in AEW.
Yes.
Him joining up with the conglomeration, being the stern, stoic uncle of Little Jay Briscoe with Mark Briscoe, and now he's teaming up with Willow Nightingale, with the juxtaposition of those two, of Big Tom and and Willow Nightingale is just so wonderful. But I agree with you. I think Willow and Ishii should get the win. Will get the win here. And another extra question: what do you think Willow will choose as a stipulation for All Out?
That's interesting. I could see. I wonder. So how many matches have they had at this point since the turn? Two? Are they 2 matches in?
Two.
Feud? Yeah.
Two. They've split. Willow won in the Owen Hart Cup, and then Statlander won the Eliminator matchup.
I think most likely they're going to do like a street fight or something of that variety. But I would kind of like them to do something more distinct in style. You know, like it'd be interesting, like if they did a cage match to keep Stokely out. Like I feel like it'd be a really cool spot for them, right? Like it would feel more. Street fight would be great, but it's so familiar, right? We see so much of that type of match, just with different names and such. But yeah, I'd like to see a cage match actually. I think that'd be a cool thing with the Stokely gimmick for sure.
Yeah, I could see a street fight for sure, but I'm gonna be different, like you said, for the content. I'm gonna say a dog collar match.
There you go. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome.
Dog collar match to really kind of like bring us back to what this feud really should have been from the beginning. It should have been a blood feud. And I think that they've kind of always kind of misstepped with this feud. I don't think that Statlander should have turned at Double or Nothing, and the way it was presented was not the best, with it coming after, you know, a big, great matchup between Mercedes and Willow, not really having time for commentary and the audience to really absorb the fact that Chris Statlander ended a years-long friendship with Willow Nightingale in the post-match. They just immediately had to go to the world title matchup on that card. And then I thought that the follow-up where they kind of alluded that this was going to lead to maybe a mixed tag team matchup. I don't think this was the mixed tag team matchup that they were going to do from the beginning. I think it was going to be Orange Cassidy and Willow Nightingale versus Trent and Chris Statlander here. But I'm fine with this kind of being the replacement since Trent got injured. And I think that, you know, they've had to deal with a lot of changes throughout. I think that Statlander also probably should have been the reason why Willow lost in the Owen Hart finals, because I said she interfered in the matchup, but she really wasn't the reason why Willow just lost to Mariah May. Mariah May out-wrestled her and won the Owen Hart Cup, and I think that that would have also gave us a little foreshadowing that Mariah May was about to turn as well if she used the cheating from Statlander to get the win. So, like I said, they've had a bunch of missteps here, but they could really bring it back together with a really fun matchup on the pre-show, and then a great bloody matchup coming out that All Out.
For sure, the All Out show, I mean, you mentioned we were both there last year in Chicago. It's a show where you can, different talent, I think, can kind of spread their wings a little on that one, because it's less, you know, the reality is with Wembley, Tony wants to get as many people on this show as he can. All Out's a little bit more casual, right? Like we saw the match Ricky Starks had last year in Chicago. It'd be cool, yeah, to see them have a moment like that on pay-per-view. That'd be awesome. So I'm with that for sure.
But we're both on the same page there. Now we're going to, before we get into the actual main card, which has 9 matches already announced, we have two matches to really discuss here first. Because first, you got on Saturday's Collision, and I know you were there live, so you could tell us the result because it's all over.
I'm innocent. I was not there. I'm innocent. You can't blame me. But I was not there.
To be fair to everybody, I think it's obvious who's going to win this. AEW Collision this Saturday, the wild card in Cardiff trios matchup. Top Flight and Leo Rush will versus Pac, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli. I have a couple of issues with this matchup. First of all, why is Pac teaming up with the BCC when he walked out on them in Blood and Guts last year, and he faced Claudio for the Ring of Honor World Championship at ROH Death Before Dishonor last year? There's been no reconciliation there. They could have explained this a little bit better by saying like, hey, this was a wild card where they put it all together. They took names out of a hat, and that's how we got this second team here. They could have explained it a little bit better. And then my bigger kind of point of contention with this matchup is that Claudio Castagnoli just had a time limit draw with Kazuchika Okada that was a relatively very good to great match to a lot of people in Cardiff on Wednesday, and now he's focused on a whole different title on Saturday and Sunday. What do we? How does Okada not get on the all in card? Like, he was one of your big signings, your big signings, the part of the big 3 signings that you made this year, and now he doesn't get on the all in card, all because you wanted to do probably Kenny Omega and Okada here, but no Kenny Omega. That's nothing against Okada. Okada couldn't control Kenny coming back. He should still be on the card, and he should probably be facing Claudio Castagnoli.
Yes, I think Alex has got the actual answer there now. Wonderful live chat. He says, AKA, we know Lucha Bros are leaving the match. Let's be real,
Also
folks.
true.
I was not there in Cardiff, but we both know who wins this match because, I mean, of course, it seems very apparent that, like, this is just a make good because Pac was intended to win a certain set of belts at Wembley for his Wembley moment, and this is the best they came up with. I agree with you. It doesn't make any sense. It feels like they could have found an act to go with Pac that he doesn't have like an actual history of dislike. I don't know. It feels like they could have. I don't know. There's definitely better ways to have done this, but here they've landed on it, and I don't know, man. It's a strange deal. We'll talk about the ladder when we get there, but I think we're all pretty aware of who's winning the collision match. I think it's pretty apparent, right?
Yeah. Pac, or as I like to call it, Pac and BCC, or the Bastard Combat Club. I've seen that.
There you go.
A couple of people. That works.
Go.
So we got the Bastard Combat Club gonna be in the London Ladders match if they win on Saturday, and this is for the AEW World Trios Championship. So they will be defended by Christian Cage, Kill Switch, and Nick Wayne of the Patriarchy, as well as the former champions. You got the House of Black, Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews. And you have the Bang Bang Gang represented by Juice Robinson, Colton, and Austin Gunn. This has been one of the most convoluted build-ups to AEW All In out of all these matches here, because the Bang Bang Gang were the champions with Jay White and the Guns. Jay White was in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. He lost to Hangman Adam Page on July 6th. Christian Cage got involved in that matchup, costing him that matchup for Hangman to move on in the Owen Cup. And during that matchup, Jay White was reportedly or allegedly injured. He suffered a foot injury, and because of that injury, the worst authority figure in professional wrestling today, Christopher Daniels, great professional wrestler, but horrible authority figure, he strips the Bang Bang Gang of the titles, despite multiple titles being defended by people that weren't the original champions. He said, no, the original champion was injured. We have to strip you of the titles. To only the very next week put the Juice Robinson and Guns team in a matchup with the Patriarchy to decide new champions, which the Patriarchy won the titles. And the Patriarchy got in that position because they took out Buddy Matthews when the House of Black beat the Bang Bang Gang a couple of months back. They took him out. Buddy Matthews got taken out and got to get married to a very great wrestler in our own right, Rhea Ripley, and then came back after his honeymoon and reunited with the House of Black, aiming their sights on the Patriarchy. It led to a trios matchup between the House of Black and Bang Bang Gang, with Christian Cage with the best referee shirt ever, good turtleneck referee shirt, being the referee, where he counted all 6 men out, despite Buddy Matthews getting up at the count of 9. He just spears him and counts to 10, leading to the Patriarchy jumping all these men, and it led to Christopher Daniels making this 4-way London Ladders match for the Trios Championships. My other issue, so this is not on Collision, this is actually on the All In card. My only issue with this matchup is, I understand Christian Cage, one of the best ladder match performers ever, ladder match specialist, and he knows how to lay out a ladder match extremely well, especially with multiple people like this match is going to be. I have no issue with this ladder match in a vacuum. It's when I think about the overall year of AEW, and this being the 3rd ladder match in as many pay-per-views. Like, I think it's the 3rd ladder match out of the last 4 pay-per-views for AEW. It's a little much. And ladder matches overall in wrestling have really gotten a overkill in 2024. So I don't know if this needed to be a London ladder match. I would have preferred probably a stadium stampede where it's kind of like chaos and everything, and those are always fun. That would have been more kind of effective here, but we got a London ladders match. What do you think about the match concept? What do you think about the build up to this match? And who do you think wins?
Yeah, I'm with you on the ladder match, and it's also a particular brand of ladder match that we get a lot. Like, I really loved the FTR Bucks one because it was actually refreshing to watch a ladder match where there's only two, groups.
Yeah.
And there's 12 people in this match. I mean, I know it's 4 teams, but my God, I mean, I don't know. I struggle with these matches slightly, and my main concern at this point, because I'm getting old and soft, is I just hope everyone makes it out okay, because they're kind of terrifying, to be honest. Hopefully Christian Cage is he can kind of be the dad here, right, and calm everyone down, make sure everyone gets home safely. But as far as the finish, I think Pac, I don't know why you'd do the Pac thing if he's not going to just win the. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. I get it. But if they're not going to have Pac win the belts the way that I presume he was going to win the belts with another act that are no longer around, I guess, allegedly, no gossip, allegedly, I assume that he's going to win. I would guess. I don't know. The trios belts have no real role on the show, so it's hard to figure out who needs them or why. They just kind of exist, and I could see any of these teams win, but I'll pick Pac because if not, I don't know why you'd even bother putting him in it, to be honest.
I mean, I think I can understand him being in it, even if he's not going to win, because he's just a high flyer and he could do a Black Arrow or some awesome moonsault off of a ladder. He's going to be fun in this matchup. I'm going to go different, and I'm going to say Christian Cage and the Patriarchy get the win here. I've liked it so far with the trios titles, and I would like to see a continuation of the story that Christian's been building, that he is using the trios titles to propel him to more championship gold in AEW, and that he wants to hold every AEW championship. And I also wouldn't mind them kind of running back a Christian and Bryan Danielson if Bryan is able to win the AEW World title, or Christian and Darby Allin if Darby Allin is going to win the AEW World title down the line at Grand Slam. I wouldn't mind him still having the trios championships and then getting back into the main event scene.
Yeah, that works. I'm always happy to see Christian Cage win anything. These belts are in a very strange spot right now, and I think long term there needs to be a job done in terms of actually figuring out what these belts should be. To me, they should be exciting matches on TV, right? Different combinations, but we haven't really got a ton of that, so we'll see.
No, it's kind of been directionless for a while, so I'm hoping they keep it on Christian and the Patriarchy to give it some type of direction and a story moving forward. But if you want chaos, you want everything happening, and you want a lot of fun in your wrestling matchup, I think this one is a guarantee to be it. Casino Gauntlet matchup for a guaranteed world title shot at AEW All In London is the return of Tony Khan's favorite stipulation in AEW, the Casino Gauntlet. The first one we got following Dynasty on AEW Dynamite in Jacksonville, with Will Ospreay winning that one to earn a shot at the International Championship, which he went on to beat Roderick Strong for at Double or Nothing. Then after Double or Nothing, we got our second Casino Gauntlet, which Will Ospreay won again to earn his shot at the AEW World title against Swerve Strickland at Forbidden Door, which he came up short in one of the best matches of the year for All Elite Wrestling. And that second one was one of the best TV matches of the year for AEW. This should be a lot of fun. We've already got confirmed for the matchup. Orange Cassidy will be the number one entrant. We know Kyle O'Reilly will be in the matchup. Roderick Strong, Mark Briscoe, Hangman Adam Page. But that is the only people that have been announced as of yet. So my question to you, Joel, is who do you think will be in this matchup? Who do you think will be the big return for this matchup? And who do you think will be a big debut for this match? Because this match is really becoming AEW's Royal Rumble. And we always expect a big return or a big debut for these type of matches. And I think because they're putting it on their biggest show of the year, I think we're going to get both in this match.
I agree. Yeah, I think we're going to get a lot of surprise. I think there's also going to be a couple guests that are working the Rev Pro show, right? Like I said, a Head to Cero being in there. I think this is going to absolutely tear the house down. This stipulation you just laid out, it's been a hit so far. This feels like the chance to solidify and cement it as an absolute drawing card for AEW, as a really big thing and an attraction. Can you imagine the reactions when when people's music's going to hit at Wembley Stadium and it's all a surprise? Oh my God, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So I think we get Jay White here. I think we get Ricochet. And then the big one, because I think he's winning, I think we get some wild thing. I think Jon Moxley's rolling into Wembley Stadium and winning the Casino Gauntlet. That's my prediction. There are some other guys that I think are like possible. I know there's a lot of names being thrown out there, but those are the three that I'm confident on. I would say like semi-confident. So very exciting. I'm looking forward to this.
I'm also think we're going to get Jon Moxley returning in this matchup. I didn't think about Jay White, but that's a good shout. Jay White coming back to be in this matchup. I believe he was in the first two Casino Gauntlet matches for sure. I know the first one where him and Ospreay had like that fun exchange between each other, like, oh, there you are, I remember you. And I really am looking forward to the debut. It was confirmed by Fightful Select that Ricochet has signed a multi-year contract with AEW, and because this matchup, they haven't specified when the winner is getting the AEW world title shot. So you can have someone win this and hold it in their back pocket for a while, kind of like a Money in the Bank. And they can kind of like say when they're going to take that title shot, and you can kind of build them up afterwards. I'm going to say the perfect way to introduce Ricochet to the audience is in this type of matchup where you could tease multiple different matches, but in the end, Ricochet wins. That's what I'm going for. He gets the win. He has a guaranteed world title shot in his back pocket, and you can have him have a bunch of great matches on Dynamite and Collision for a few months before he takes it at either a Wrestle Dream or Full Gear later this year for that title shot.
I love it. It'll be a great statement for him, certainly, and I think we're all excited to see him in a new setting. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. I know there's a lot of talk about Bobby Lashley that's out there too. I think he's Chicago. I think. I don't know. I think, but I don't think this is the way you explain Ricochet. Even if Ricochet wasn't going to win, we see the same thing in terms of he's going to get in there and do some amazing stuff, and he'll be like, "Oh my God, imagine this match, that match."
Lashley, the hologram needs to be in this matchup. That hologram and him just having a great, awesome, flippy exchange. Like if he wins, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter. We need that.
Right, because the thing you're saying with Ricochet is like the thrills, right? Like the excitement. Where I think with Lashley, you probably bring him in an angle. I don't think to me, this isn't where I would do it personally. They may. I mean, I'd pop. It'd be great. But yeah, this will be awesome. And I think we're going to get the whole 21 in this, right? We're going to get everyone's going to get in this match, I think. So this will be fun.
Yeah, I think this one is going to go for a while. This will be the longest Casino Gauntlet and the most guys we get in the Casino Gauntlet. I would love Gabe Kidd to be in it. We know he's going to be in London for the Rev Pro show tomorrow. So I would love Gabe Kidd. I think he would get a huge pop. The fucking madman after the performance he had in the G1 Climax. Michael Oku, I think it's almost a guaranteed after he had the dark match on Dynamite that he will be in it. And I think that's going to be kind of his like proper introduction as an AEW star. I think he drops the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship to Luke Jacobs on tomorrow's anniversary show. And then he officially starts with AEW in the Casino Gauntlet.
Yeah, I agree. That feels like a pretty safe bet. Yeah, I think the agent on this, whoever the agent is, good luck to them because there's a lot of pieces to get a play here. But I think they're going to have time, as we said. So this will be very, very exciting.
I also think, we get the return of Konosuke Takeshita in this matchup. Yep. I would love that as well because I think that he will get a huge pop after his performance in the New Japan Cup. I mean,
he'd be a good G1. Yeah, he'd be a good pick to win it, honestly. Like, that would be a great way to reintroduce him, right? It would immediately tell the audience he's back, he's going to be a main event star. So, yeah, for sure, he'd be a good call also.
Yeah, I think he was my G1 MVP, and he really proved himself as like a top 5 wrestler in the world. Like there's Bryan, there's Ospreay, there's your Gunthers, there's Zack Sabre Jr., and then there's Konosuke Takeshita. He really needs to they need to put the foot on the pedal when he returns, whether it be him winning this Casino Gauntlet or my big move would have him win the Continental Classic by the end of the year.
Yeah, whatever it is, whatever the route, they need to elevate him properly now. It's like it was a year ago he beat Omega, we need to get moving because he's way too good to be just treading water. So we'll see.
Caden, I wouldn't say Omega. This is not a good spot to bring back Omega in the Casino Gauntlet because of the way that they did his kind of soft return in May. If he's gonna show up on this show, it's him costing the Bucks in the tag title match or costing Jack Perry in the Darby Allin matchup. It needs to be something elite adjacent that he's involved in when he returns.
Unless Okada is in the gauntlet. Then you could do something. But I still don't I don't think we're gonna get Kenny. I know Caden's aware of that also. I get the point though. It would be a great moment, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. Now it is time to talk about the match that I think we both were alluding to. For the World Championship, FTW title up for grabs. Hook will challenge Chris Jericho, the Learning Tree. These two men started feuding in March. Wait, let me say that louder for the people in the back. In fucking March! This started in a 6-way scramble match back at Revolution, the last AEW pay-per-view that I went to in March in North Carolina. They were both in that matchup. Hook dropped Jericho on his head, and then the following week, Jericho decided he wanted to challenge Hook to a one-on-one matchup. Hook got the victory in that match, and Jericho decided, hey, I want to team up with Hook. I want to take him under my wing, and we're going to become Lion Hook, and we're going to win some tag team matches together. But Jericho got a little too big for his britches, and it led to a one-on-one matchup for the FTW Championship at Dynasty in April, where Jericho defeated Hook for the FTW Championship thanks to interference from, he beat him straight up with the bat and then pinned him afterwards to win the FTW Championship. It was against Kazuchika Shibata following this that Big Bill interfered and helped out Jericho getting the victory there. And Jericho basically recruited Big Bill into his Learning Tree stable. He then faced Hook and Kazuchika Shibata at Double or Nothing in a 3-way matchup where Brian Keith helped him out to get the win to retain the FTW Championship and join up with the Learning Tree. They were involved in a 6-man matchup at Forbidden Door with Jeff Cobb, and then Samoa Joe basically recruited Hook and Shibata into a new group of their own. And then since then, Jericho has simultaneously taken out every member of that group. He threw a fireball in Hook's face. He broke the arm of Shibata thanks to Brian Keith, and he drove Samoa Joe through a wall, crashing and burning, so Joe could go film Twisted Metal Season 2. And then Hook made his return a couple of weeks ago, and they made a challenge for a matchup, and we got an awful promo by both men. I don't care. But Hook and Big Bill will face on Collision on Saturday. I literally said, Jericho and Tommy Billington, decent little matchup on Dynamite, but it would have been a good matchup. But I think the theme of Chris Jericho since 2022 is it was longer than it needed to be. That matchup on Wednesday was longer than it needed to be. Jericho and some of his gimmicks, they were longer than they needed to be. Jericho and his feud against the Blackpool Combat Club in 2022, it was longer than it needed to be. Jericho as the Ring of Honor World Champion, it was longer than it needed to be. It just feels like I've been saying it was longer than it needed to be. Way too much with Chris Jericho, and this feud is a albatross around my neck and an albatross around the neck of AEW that they always have to have Chris Jericho on these pay-per-views that I'm just like, oh my God, this is like the worst case of the Jericho vortex ever, because it really feels like Hook has had like the biggest character stagnation of anyone in AEW right now. Like he has been stuck in an FTW vortex within the Jericho vortex. It just got into the Jericho vortex in March, but Hook's been stuck in this FTW title scene since 2022 as well. It's just two characters that have just been in this type of title scene for way too long. After that rant, I'm sorry, Joe, but what do you think about the build to this matchup, the 6-month build to this matchup, and who do you think wins on Sunday?
Well, obviously, it's very bad. All of this is very bad, and Jericho is like, he was stale, a year, 18 months ago, but he's in ring has declined so much. I thought the Billington match was okay. Like, I agree with you, it would have been better if it was shorter, but I feel like Chris Jericho of 2 years ago would have like a genuinely good match with that kid. Like, he's just fallen off dramatically. And Hook, I don't even know Hook has now got to a point where his booking has been bad enough and they've exposed his weaknesses enough. I no longer even know what's there with Hook. I don't even know what his game is anymore. It feels like a lifetime ago that he had that match with Joe, right? Anything he got out of that has been erased 10 times over. So this needs to be short. This is clearly the weakest match on the card. I see very little reason to be hopeful this match will be any good, really. I think this should be very short. I don't think it will be short. And hopefully it's just not like an absolute, because this could be a disaster, dude. Let's be honest. Wembley could completely reject this match. Like, we'll see. Hopefully it's just average. Right. I have no hope for it being good. I have to be real. Like, yeah. We've seen their matches before. There's not any chemistry there either.
No. I don't understand. Like, Tony Khan, a guy that's very much, he's like a match merchant, so he loves a good to great matchup. Like, how did you think that running this same matchup 3 times over 6 months was a good idea?
It's baffling. It's done nothing for Hook. It only highlights how much Jericho's like declined because it's a young opponent that he's supposed to carry and help, and he isn't able to. It's really, really bad. Really, really bad. And, people can say, well, Jericho's not in the main event, and fair enough, but he still gets himself a singles match on Wembley. And it's like, I don't know, man.
And this time he doesn't have Chris Jericho he doesn't have Will Ospreay to carry.
Yeah. And the one moment that it had like a little bit of charm was when Hook was hanging with Shibata and Joe, as you mentioned, and then they both got taken. And I understand there were circumstances there, but like, very bad. Very, very bad. Hook's winning, right? Hook's winning, I guess. So I assume.
My hope is that Hook wins and retires the FTW championship.
Yeah, he should win and then like give the belt to his dad and be like, I'm gonna go and do my own thing. And then we can see what there actually is with Hook, because I do think there's reason to be kind of concerned. It does feel like he's like the exact same wrestler he was 2 years ago, which is alarming, but we'll see.
It very much is. Like, this is like, it feels like AEW is setting themselves up for Hook to leave the promotion and go to NXT, and then we discover, oh yeah, he is a great wrestler that can get over like he was 2-3 years ago. And
maybe, yeah.
They capitalize on it a lot better than AEW has been able to.
Yeah, maybe so. It's hard to even read it anymore because he's been in this little bubble for so long. I don't know what, like, long term, I don't know what you do with Jericho, because it just feels like he's going in circles, right? Like, every time we do one of these previews, it's like in a different spot and it's the same conversation. So I'm not sure.
We'll see what happens there. But what I am looking forward to is this matchup here, a coffin match for the TNT Championship. You got Jack Perry defending against Darby Allin. This rivalry really kicked off or got like some momentum behind it after the Anarchy in the Arena match, where Jack Perry and Darby Allin just took all the risks in the world, including Darby lighting Jack Perry on fire, Jack Perry hanging Darby Allin over the ring like a piñata, while the Young Bucks super kicked him with thumbtack sneakers. Darby Allin made his return after that beatdown. I believe this was back in July. And he set his sights on Jack Perry after that. He got involved in the Blood and Guts match as the final member for Team AEW, and he was the difference maker in that matchup with the big coffin drop off the top of the ceiling onto Jack Perry, tying Jack Perry against the steel chair for Mark Briscoe to give him a sickening steel chair shot. And then he put some gasoline on him and was about to set him on fire when he basically said he wouldn't if Matthew Jackson, the EVP, gave him a shot at the TNT Championship at All In London. From there, Darby's been cutting promos talking about why he hates Jack Perry and has hated him since AEW signed him to the company, because he only got his spot by being friends with the Elite. Meanwhile, Darby Allin has had to fight for everything that he's gotten, and it led to an angle 2 weeks ago where Jack Perry attacked Darby Allin, stuck him under a garage metal door, and was about to slam a production crate into his head. And then he said, I want a coffin match. I want your type of match, Darby, at All In. Jack Perry sent a message to Darby Allin on last week's Collision, where he took out a jobber, put him in a body bag with Darby's name on it, then stuck the TNT Championship in that body bag and introduced his own version of the title. So it's very interesting, because I feel like this is one of the first matches that we're going to discuss that can really go either way as far as these one-on-one matches. This one can go either way because Jack Perry just introduced his own version of the TNT Championship, so they may want him to be longer with the title. But Darby Allin has so much momentum. He's one of the top stars of the company. He has a world title shot in a month's time at Grand Slam. I don't know if you want to put him in a coffin before he gets a world title shot. So it's very much, this one could go either way. Joe, what have you thought about the build, and who do you have winning?
Yeah, I'm with you. This is tough to pick. The build, I think, has been pretty good. Like, I think it's been built like an undercard match, right? Which is fine. I think I think every build needs to be, more extended than this has been. They had the big moment in Blood and Guts. I think that kind of set the stage. I'm pretty bullish on this match, actually. I think this has a chance and is a little bit of a dark horse to steal the show. Like, I don't know. I think Darby Allin is obviously spectacular. I think he's one of the most consistent wrestlers in the whole promotion. So reliable. Yes. And he has a stipulation to play with here, and it's Wembley. And Jack Perry is like, he's nuts. Like, he'll absolutely be down to do crazy shit, which with Darby is terrifying, right? So, I don't know. I think this has a real shot to really like make an impact and impress people. And I think Jack needs that, because Jack came back with a lot of momentum, and his usage has been kind of like uneven, right? Like, he's kind of there, but not really. The Elite, will discuss it more later with the Bucks. It's a weird thing right now. So for that reason, I lean towards Jack. It feels like he hasn't really had a TNT title, right?
Yeah.
But the counter to that is what you said in terms of Darby's about to work for the world title. Do you want to put him in a coffin? And secondly, this is like Darby's specialty match, right? Like, is Jack Perry the guy you want to change that? I'm not sure about either of those, but I still pick Jack because it feels like he's just starting to be the champion now. Like, he just got his belt, and it's been a strange couple months for the Elite, let's put it that way. But yeah, I'll take Jack in a match that I think will really impress people. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, the Elite storyline has just fell apart. It was like they were building like this Jenga thing, this Jenga blocks with the Elite storyline as we went into Double or Nothing. And then after Double or Nothing, they just pulled up the wrong piece, and it's all falling down.
Christopher Daniels walked up and pulled it, and it all went tumbling down. Poor CD. That was when it all went wrong. I love Chris Daniels, but when he became like a main character, it went from main event angle to prelim, like that. It's bad. Yeah.
To me, it was the combination of Christopher Daniels coming in as an authority figure, as the Elite should have gotten power coming out of Anarchy in the Arena, and the combination of that with the Bucks feuding with the Acclaimed, who literally came off of two different rivalries where they were supposed to be elevating stuff, and they brought people down to their level. Like, they were supposed to be elevating the trios titles in their feud with House of Black last year, but they pretty much brought the trios titles down to a mid-card level. And then the work they did with the Bang Bang Gang, I will never forgive them for that, because they literally, the Bang Bang Gang were on the rise, and they just brought them right back to the mid-card level with that feud as well, which went on way too long. And this feud with the Bucks and the Elite has gone on way too long. But yeah, the combination of those two things really fell apart the whole Elite storyline. And Jack Perry has really been the victim of that, because I can't say he's done anything bad, but he just hasn't been used in the way that I wish he would have been used. He had so much momentum coming back at Dynasty, and the build up to Double or Nothing, he was great. And I wish that coming out of Double or Nothing, the Elite would have like treated him as like this unpredictable factor in the group. Like they never know what Jack is gonna do. They don't know. Some weeks they have to keep Jack off TV, and that would have explained why he's not always on the TV, because they don't know what he's gonna do. He's so unpredictable that they have to keep him off TV some weeks because they can't control him. If they would have done it in that matter, that would have been much better.
Yeah, I think there is a disconnect slightly I think Jack sees this character one way. I think sometimes they book him in a fashion that doesn't fit that. Sometimes he's like, there's a few different things going on with the Jack Perry character, right? And I think there's good ideas. It just needs someone to edit and figure out. And I think what you're describing would have given it a lot more of a kind of color and identity. So, yeah, and that's partly why. Like, I'm not even a huge Jack Perry fan, but I kind of want him to win just because it feels like, I don't know, man. Like if he loses, like it just feels like it's kind of just been a waste, you know. Like to my mindset going into this would be, if Jack can have a killer match with Darby, which I think he will, you can get him reheated and get back where you were when he came back. That would be my hope. Because let's be honest, Darby's bulletproof, right? Like he can always bounce back. So that would be my thought process. But yeah, it's been a weird time for the Elite angle for sure.
I think we're gonna get a glass casket or a fire casket in this matchup, but I'm gonna actually go with Darby Allin because it's this type of matchup, and he has a world title match in a month, and I don't think you want to basically, figuratively, and actually literally bury him before he has a world title match. So that's
just fair. You know, I get it completely, absolutely.
Speaking of the Elite and the Young Bucks, they will defend the AEW World Tag Team Championships in a three-way matchup against FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler, and Anthony Bowens and Max Caster, the Acclaimed. The Young Bucks have probably had by far their worst AEW World Title reign ever. They are three-time champions, winning the titles in a ladder match at Dynasty in April. And because of the Elite storyline and not having enough dates on their contract, according to reports, and all types of things, they've barely been on TV since like the Blood and Guts matchup. Like we established during the Jack Perry, they really fell apart, the whole Elite being the focus of the company story coming out of Double or Nothing. And they've been feuding with the Acclaimed since Double or Nothing, with the Acclaimed taking sites at the tag team titles. The Acclaimed teamed up with Hiroshi Tanahashi to verse the Young Bucks and Kazuchika Okada at Forbidden Door, with the Elite picking up the victory. Then the Acclaimed were involved in Blood and Guts, where Anthony Bowens had a star-making performance, and it was Team AEW who picked up the win there. This led into the Acclaimed getting a shot at the Young Bucks for the tag team titles, which the FTR weren't too pleased about. FTR made their return following Dynasty and their loss in Anarchy in the Arena after suffering an injury, and we got another run-in.
Okay, what's this?
But FTR wanted to get their title opportunity, a rematch for the tag team titles at Wembley Stadium. But the Acclaim were not too happy with FTR kind of sticking their nose in their business and kind of got distracted from the actual title shot that they earned in an eliminator matchup back in June against the Young Bucks and started focusing more on FTR for a while. This led to FTR getting involved in the tag team title matchup between Young Bucks and the Acclaim, and kind of costing the Acclaim that matchup, with the Young Bucks winning by disqualification. And that led into a number one contenders matchup on Collision that went to a 30-minute time limit draw, which led to the match being made official, a three-way matchup for All In. The Young Bucks have had one title defense in a 4-month reign, and the Young Bucks is probably the coldest they have felt in their entire AEW run. And that's quite astonishing to me, because I felt like they were really kind of back with a fresh character coming out of Revolution, where Revolution was like one of their best performances ever against Darby Allin and Sting. And then they were the focus of the company going into the tag team title tournament matchup. And they had a great ladder match, like you said, against FDR there. And then they were the focus of the company in the Elite storyline leading up to Double or Nothing. But one way or another, this has all fallen apart. This is one of the worst tag team title runs I think I've ever seen, regardless of this company. But for a team that I would put in like my top 5 greatest tag teams of all time, this has really been a fall from grace in this title run.
I'm glad you said it all because you have a Young Bucks shirt and I didn't want to be mean, but good God.
Yeah, no,
man,
I'm wearing, literally, I want these Young Bucks back.
Yeah, no, I'm with it. Like, I don't know what the deal is, but like that match they had last week against the Acclaimed, they legitimately look like they'd rather be anywhere else in the world than wrestling that match. Like, I don't know what the deal is, man. It's kind of alarming, to be honest, like how kind of like unplugged they seem. I mean, I get like everyone has those runs in their career, but you would think this wouldn't be it. I think they've been very disappointing in that regard. Like just their energy, you know. And this is my chance to do propaganda. I don't think FTR are winning this match. I don't think they really probably should win this match, but I believe in honor and justice, as you know, SP3. And so I think it's time we got to get back to business here. Let's get the belts back on Dax and Cash, and they can like show up to work and have wrestling matches for the belts on TV. Because that's whatever you think of FTR, and most of it's true. If there's one thing they do, they show up to TV and have wrestling matches. That's like their thing. I don't know, man. I kind of appreciate that at this point. It's been a while, you know. Like, let's get these belts. But I don't think they're winning. My prediction is, I think the Bucks win. I think the Acclaimed are even more likely than FTR. So I could see the Acclaimed like turning and winning the belts because the Acclaimed are kind of leaning heel to me, kind of. I'll pick the Bucks. I don't think FTR are winning, but I will pop huge in Wembley. I will actually make a reaction at Wembley. Usually, at wrestling shows, I just sit with my shades on. But I'll be an animal if FTR win at Wembley Stadium. But I think the Bucks are going to win.
I gotta agree with you here. I'm gonna go with the Young Bucks to win because I literally like a couple of weeks back I would have said the Acclaimed because it felt like this is the scenario where the two kind of top 2 tag teams, the established tag teams in the division, and the Young Bucks and FTR are basically doing like a passing of the torch and giving the run to the younger team of Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. But I just like I feel like all 3 of these teams are like the coldest they've ever been. Like I think the Acclaimed are kind of like they feel stale as an act right now, and it just feels like after his performance in Blood and Guts, Anthony Bowens needs a singles run badly. Yeah. He needs a single run badly to get away from Max Caster. And I'm not saying much about Max Caster as far as what he's doing in the ring. It's just his social media and his personality and interviews doesn't rub me the right way, if the best way I can put it. And I rather see Bowens kind of see if he can do something on his own. All of that saying, the build has not been good. All 3 of these teams are cold. This is the one that I was kind of talking about when I said I don't really like the build, but once the bell ring, I think this is going to be a killer match.
I think it'll be really good. Yeah, I do too. Actually, like the Bucks they're going to show up here and actually care. I think. I hope. I assume. I don't know. And they are great. They're great at putting these matches together. Like great at it. So when you combine that with FTR's just kind of effort, right? Like they always bring it. And Anthony Bowens is tremendous. I think it'll be a really good match also. And I think it will actually be over live just because the UK fans will pop for these acts because even though they're cold, they are like, they're classic AEW acts. So I think this will do well. Let's be honest, whatever the finish is, the issues with the tag division are much deeper, right? Like they need to get new teams over. Whoever wins this match doesn't change that. New teams need to get over. They need to really think about what they're doing because it is a very stale division right now.
Yeah. The fact that the Top Flight and private parties of the world are in the same position they were when they first got here, that's a damn shame. That's a damn shame. And this is why like losing a team like the Lucha Bros is so big and being talked about the way that it is because like because you kind of like always it made me realize that AEW has been pushing like the Lucha Bros out from the spot that they were supposed to be in since
Yes.
FTR showed up. This whole company started with the Young Bucks and Lucha Bros as the focus of the tag team division, and they established the tag team division as one of the best parts of AEW in their rivalry in 2019. And when FTR came in, they kind of scooted over to number 3, but then they got closer to like a 2A, 2B type of thing when they won the tag team titles in 2021 after the great reign of the Young Bucks from 2020 to 2021. And then he scooted over to like 2A, 2B with FTR. And then FTR kind of scooped them out the way back to number 3 during their run in 2022. And then you let the Acclaim, because they became the popular hat, get that number 3 spot from Lucha Bros, and Lucha Bros was pushed down to like 4, which is when you're in that 4 spot, you're not the focus at all. It seems they're just going to use you. We'll throw you in the trios division. We'll try to make that over, but they just kept getting pushed back more and more and more. So I understand the people that are like, oh, they dropped the ball, they fumbled the Lucha Bros, despite me also saying that I think they did a lot of things with the Lucha Bros. They did as much as they could, but they kept putting other people over them. So I understand the argument against that. So yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with you, is that they have to get other teams over immediately after the show.
Yeah, and there needs to be a plan. Like, I joke, but I don't care who wins this match. I hope it isn't going to just be more of the same. It can't be. It's not interesting, So yeah, they need a plan for sure.
100%. We do have a super chat donation here from Nicky Boy. Thank you so much for the support. He says, I just want the Bowen singles run already. I'm 100% with you. I think Bowen's showed a different side of himself in that Blood and Guts matchup, which was like, I can do the hardcore, the kind of like batshit crazy AEW matches that have become like some of the most memorable in their history in that type of format. Whereas Max Caster was like my LVP of that matchup, because I totally forgot he was even in the matchup at certain points.
Yeah, Bones has always stood out, but the further into the run we've got, the more the gap has like widened to me. The issue obviously is, I agree with the take. It's just, the tag division kind of needs the Acclaimed, and how many singles, it gets complicated, right? That's the only problem, but that's not Anthony Bones' fault. So I agree. I'd like to see him get a run as a singles too.
Yeah, they started off very much, I've been saying it for months, they started off as like the New Age Outlaws, where Caster was the road dog, the better talker of the two, whereas Anthony Bowens was the Billy Gunn, the better worker of the two. But like you said, as the run has gone on, Bowens has become the better talker as well.
Yeah, Bowens, he has an ability on the mic to like switch it up and go through the gears, and he can actually be really. There was a promo, he was on a Collision recently where he cut like a promo on FTR face to face, and he was on it. Like there's definitely something there with him for sure.
Yeah, when he said the scoreboard reads Acclaim 1, FTR 0, yeah, I was like, I like Anthony Bowens, man. Just let him talk. Let Caster do his rap. But when it comes to money promos, give the mic to Anthony Bowens.
For sure, absolutely.
We do have a super chat donation here from Nicky Boy. Thank you so much. And a great point you're making in this super chat. He says, when's Mark Davis coming back? We need Aussie Open. I think Aussie Open, they desperately need them right now. That's what I agree. Like someone made the argument, Kyle Fletcher is good as a single star. He doesn't need Mark Davis. Mark Davis is the worst thing that can happen to him. I was like, Kyle Fletcher right now is just going to be a jobber to the main event stars. Yeah. If he's in the tag team division, he could be the Aussie Open could be the number 1 tag team in this whole division.
For sure. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with. I don't know if there's been any update on Mark. I'm not sure. I don't think there has. So I don't know. Those ones always get kind of scary. Like, because I think at one point he was cleared and then something else happened. He got hurt. So hopefully he's okay. I agree completely. Aussie Open would be a huge addition. It is a little spooky how much they've like Kyle's act has like evolved, right? Like they definitely present him as like a singles wrestler now. So yeah, but I'm with you. Like Kyle's ceiling as a singles runner. There's so many guys on the roster, and he's a really good wrestler, but he isn't like You know, he hasn't found himself as an act, really. He's just a good wrestler. As a tag team, I mean, they desperately need them as a tag team. We just discussed why. So, yeah, I'd like to see Aussie Open back. But I'm not sure when Mark is cleared.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's soon. I'm hoping it's before the end of the year for sure.
Yes.
But
Hopefully.
we're both in agreement on the Young Bucks. But we've made it, Joe, to the top four. The top four matches on this card. And let's start off big with the longest buildup going into All In London, as Timeless Toni Storm will defend the AEW Women's World Championship against her former protege, Mariah May. Mariah May made her debut in AEW back in November of last year and immediately showed that she was a fan of Timeless Toni Storm. She convinced RJ City to introduce her to Timeless Toni Storm, where she wanted to learn from Toni and be her protege. Toni was kind of just, I'm not going to be too bothered with her, but sure, you can hang around, you could be around, you can help out Luther and stuff like that. But the more they were together, you could see Timeless Toni Storm coming around and liking having Mariah May around, especially when she won the AEW Women's World Championship at Full Gear. Mariah May then became an asset to her, helping her get wins in certain places, helping her get the advantage in title defenses. Timeless Toni Storm has held the title since Full Gear of last year, picking up victories against the likes of basically a laundry list of competitors, from Riho to Deonna Purrazzo to Thunder Rosa, time and time again, with Mariah May by her side, Serena Deeb, as well as Mina Shirakawa, which really put Mariah May in the middle of a love triangle, but she brought them all together at the end of Forbidden Door. But Mariah May's plan came to fruition when she won the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament against Willow Nightingale in July, and then immediately turned her back on Timeless Toni Storm, knocking her out with the Owen Hart Cup tournament title, and then laying her out with the shoe. She told her to watch for the shoe, and she learned that lesson and stabbed her in the back and stabbed her in the head with the high heel, busting Toni Storm open in a prolific and epic heel turn on the July 10th AEW Dynamite. Since then, Mariah May has kind of showed back and showed her true side and her sinister side, that this was all her plan all along. She wanted to take the spotlight and take Toni Storm's spot, and she was ready for the curtain call of the run of Timeless Toni Storm, and it's led to a more unhinged Toni Storm. In the fallback of that, Toni has been brawling with Mariah May at every instant. I love the fact that Mariah May has not backed down and has been a part of the fight every step of the way. This build-up and this storyline is one of the best AEW has ever produced for its women's division, and it all comes to a head on Sunday. Joe, what have you thought about the build-up to this matchup, the overarching storyline over the last 9 months, and who do you think wins on Sunday?
Yeah, I completely co-sign your praise for this. I think it's the best build on the show, and it's the one they should be super proud of, because I think in 2024, I think the Mariah May kind of project has been like the biggest triumph, right? Like, they've really actually brought someone onto their TV and got them over and established them as a character on the show. So yeah, they've done a great job with this, both the performers and creatively. I think it's been on point. So this has been very strong. This is the match that I'm most like, I guess the word would be, I'm rooting for this to be great. I think it will be good, but I want this to be like epic, because the build deserves that, right? And it needs, I think, guys are saying this needs to be pretty violent. After that angle they shot, I don't think this is the match for drop down tackles. I think this is, I think we're going to get some blood, or we should anyway. The big thing is, if this goes on late in the show, I just really hope the crowd is as into this as the builders deserve, because it's been brilliant. So I'm really rooting for it. I'm confident it will be good, definitely. Finish wise, initially I was like absolutely certain Mariah was winning, and I think I'm still picking Mariah. I'm a little bit less sure for whatever reason. Maybe it's that looming Jamie Hayter idea. I'm not sure. Toni Storm is a big time attraction, and you can tell AEW sees her as an absolute star for them. They love the Toni Storm act. And I just wonder if maybe they delay the Mariah May title win. I'm going to pick Mariah nonetheless. I'm going to stick my gut on that. But I think it's a little closer than people maybe realize. I just got a feeling. But very excited for this, definitely.
I'm very excited for this, and I 100% agree with you. I'm hoping this is excellent. I'm hoping it gets enough time, that it's on the right place on the show, because I feel, I'm also scared like you, if they put it on too late in the show, it won't have that momentum. I think that the perfect spot for it is probably like fifth, like the middle of the card, to kind of like give it that platform. And I'm gonna say Mariah May also gets the win, because you have to kind of stick the landing on making her a mainline star for your women's division. Like, the right outcome is for Mariah May's plan to all come together. And if she comes up short, I don't know what you do, how you can get her back into it. Do you have her attack her again? That might feel like a retread, and to set up a rematch of sorts, where I think that Mariah can get the win by cheating, by different circumstances, whether it be like maybe a Luther returning and siding with Mariah May after that beatdown or something like that, something that puts it all together and she gets a win, or Mina Shirakawa choosing her original lover over her new lover, and she's put into the middle of this situation. There's a couple of different ways they can go, but Mariah May, I think, needs to walk out as AEW Women's World Champion to kind of like put the bow on her rise to the top.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do. I think it would be, I think if they go with Toni, it would be kind of the booking we see a little bit now, where it's like patience for the sake of being patient. It feels like you should just do it. I agree. This will be, I'm really intrigued by the crowd for this, because like, honestly, Mariah's at home, but people love Toni Storm, and she has a ton of history here too. So this is going to be a very split crowd, I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I would love it if it is, though. Like, hey, let's go, Mariah. Let's go, Toni. Yeah, I think that if it has that type of vibe, it's gonna have the right atmosphere for this type of build. But credit to AEW and RJ City, Tony Khan, for putting it all together, making it out of the the All About Eve movie, and really kind of putting it through the wrestling scope and making this overarching story.
Yeah, it's been very well done. Very, very well done, definitely.
Another home country act will be in a big title match on this card. AEW American Championship up for grabs. MJF defends against the former international champion Will Ospreay. It seemed like ever since MJF returned, he has had his sights on one man, and that is Will Ospreay. In his first promo back in June, he mentioned Ospreay and how he had to come back to clean up the AEW, and that no one is on his level, and kind of echoing what Will Ospreay always says. But they had their first face-to-face showdown, and the atmosphere for that was palpable, that was a big matchup for AEW to do. And then we kind of saw the genesis of the story when MJF alluded to giving Daniel Garcia this spot, a matchup against him at All In London, the biggest show of the year. And then Will Ospreay swooped in and took the spotlight from MJF and said that he was giving Daniel Garcia a shot at the International Championship at Beach Break in Chicago. This led into Ospreay versus Garcia, where MJF tried to give him the Dynamite Diamond Ring to get the win, but Garcia turned it down, and it led to Ospreay getting the win with the Hidden Blade. And then MJF gave his great heel turn, low-blowing Daniel Garcia, laying him out with a big tombstone off the second rope before Ospreay made the save. Ospreay was looking for revenge after that and challenged MJF to a one-on-one matchup, which became an epic near 1 hour matchup for the International Championship, with MJF pulling out the win with just 2 seconds of remaining in the 60-minute time limit by using the Dynamite Diamond Ring. And he threw out the International Championship and introduced the AEW American Championship out of it. And since then, he's been one of the better international champions in the right, because he's brought it back to its original purpose of defending the title across the world. He defended it in Mexico against Tempario and CMLL. He defended against Michael Oku and Rev Pro in the UK in a great matchup there. But he's also been getting under the skin of Will Ospreay, talking about his deceased grandmother, which led to Will having a fired up promo and making the challenge for All in London. But he's also targeted Will's friends. First, Kyle Fletcher in another great matchup for Eliminator matchup on Dynamite, where he beat him, busted him open with the Dynamite Diamond Ring, was about to give him a Tiger Driver before Will made the save. And then again at Rev Pro, when after he defeated Michael Oku, he did hit the Tiger Driver 91, the move that Will Ospreay has refused to use on multiple occasions since using it on Bryan Danielson and seemingly hurting Bryan at Dynasty. And that's become another factor in this whole feud. This feud has had so many different elements to it, with the US versus UK, with the Tiger Driver element, with MJF going after the friends of Will Ospreay. He was about to give a Tiger Driver to Amira on that same show before Will came out and made the save, and Will said, enough of this shit, I will beat him by any means necessary, including possibly using the Tiger Driver. But Will still had his doubts. This led to an awesome face-to-face confrontation on Dynamite, where we really got the real reason behind this whole feud, because MJF was very calm during the face-to-face. Will was in his element in Cardiff with the fans behind him and booing MJF out the building. And Will said that the people used to love you, but you ruined it. But MJF let us know what this is all about. This is not about him stealing the spotlight on that one time. It's about him stealing his spot in AEW. And he said, they loved me before you showed up and ruined it. And then MJF had to go through the low-hanging fruit, saying that he was going to possibly impregnate Will Ospreay's wife and have another kid that's not Will's. But man, oh man, it led to a great angle with MJF laying out Will with the Dynamite Diamond Ring. He was about to give him the Tiger Driver 91. And then the backstage segment with Bryan Danielson telling Will to do it on Sunday, to do the Tiger Driver and just get this whole thing done. I thought they stuck the landing on all of this. The US UK part of this wasn't my cup of tea. It was a bad move to do in the South, especially in this climate in the United States. But they stuck the landing and really went back to what really this is all about. This is about two guys who consider themselves the best, wanting that number one spot, and they have really elevated the AEW American International Championship. That feels like the 1B number 2 title now in AEW. What have you thought about the build? Who do you think wins and comes out with the American or International Championship on Sunday?
I definitely agree about the way they've made it feel big time. Like, I think this is going to have, beyond once Dragon makes his entrance, because that will be special, I think this will have the most heat in terms of like crowd response. I think this will have a big fight feel. And yeah, I think this is going to rock the house, to be honest. I think there's chances that they may, I worry a little bit about the Tiger Driver element. I don't want it to be like a thing they go to a lot in the match. They're going to use it because it's been part of the build, right? And that's fine. But like, I don't want it to be like the main thing in the match, you know, where they tease it like 3 or 4 times. Like, I think that would be a mistake. Yeah. I think maybe tease it once. I think Max probably should hit one on Will, right? And that would be like a big moment. And then Will eventually hits it. And I think Will's got to win here. I think it would be a mistake for him not to win at Wembley. I think there's an argument to be made that he should be winning a different belt at Wembley, to be honest. But that's a different story for another day, and that ship has sailed, right? We're going to talk about Danielson, and that's fine by me. But this is definitely one of the biggest matches on the show. I think it will have a huge response. Very interested how they wrestle this match. Obviously, as you mentioned, the TV match went nearly an hour. I'm interested how they change it up. You assume this is going to be a lot more urgent, right? Because this is now like an even more heated thing. Will Ospreay, of course, accepting the fine on Wednesday. So this really should be like guns blazing from the bell. So Interested how they capture that. I think there's actually room for Max to do like some real old school heel stuff here and like bow to ringside and make the people wait, and because that would make sense with a build. Very interesting from a match point of view. But I think it will rock the house, and I think Will Ospreay will win I guess then again, international. It'll be international again. Even though, as you said, Max has ironically actually done the international title thing correctly, which is like the funniest part of this whole angle. But yeah, I got Will Ospreay.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. He's had a great reign for like such a short reign. It's been great. It's been great because he threw the title out to follow the rules of the title. But I agree with you. I think Will should get the win, and he should do it. No hidden blade, just the Tiger Driver. Tiger Driver 1, 2, 3, because he's yet to just hit the Tiger Driver and pin somebody 1, 2, 3 in AEW. You've built it up for months now. He just needs to hit the Tiger Driver, and that's how he gets the win.
If they do a whole like set piece about him not hitting it and then he hits it and Max kicks out, that would be a mistake. You've put so much time into this angle. Like, you're right. That should be the finish. Absolutely.
You've put too much time into all of this. Just get the job done. But yeah, it looks like a bunch of people is also going with Will Ospreay as well. I make beats with another super chat donation here. You guys are killing it today. Appreciate y'all. He says, I'm Barry Scott. Bang! And the dirt is gone. I was like, out of the 7 references he made in his first part of his promo, that was the one I understood.
There you go. You did better than most people, I think. So that's good. He was. I honestly, I would love to have known what the response generally was in the States to that promo. Like, not the people online, like the people that just were watching on TV. Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy Britt talk. Crazy Britt talk.
I was like, yo, like my friend Jimmy that I do the AEW Dynamite review. He was like, this man is the most British person I know.
It was crazy. Even I was like, good Lord. It was a lot.
All right, let's talk about the next of these top 4. And 2 of the biggest stars in the AEW Women's Division will clash for the TBS Championship. It's Mercedes Moné defending against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. It was back at Forbidden Door that Mercedes won the NJPW Strong Women's Championship, defeating Stephanie Becker, new WWE superstar Stephanie Becker, to win that title and be a double champion. And then former AEW Women's World Champion Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, showed up and returned after a 9-month absence to interrupt Mercedes celebration. This led to one of the best face-to-face promo exchanges I think we've seen from the AEW Women's Division on the next Dynamite following that, where Mercedes basically interrupts Britt's emotional promo where she explains that she had many strokes and how important AEW was to her. And then Mercedes comes in thanks to the Elite for her championship celebration, and they just go back and forth with Britt talking about she established the women's division, Mercedes bringing it to another level. You had the elements of Britt kind of posing as a fan and attacking Mercedes really growing into her heel act, running away, being a chicken shit heel when Britt wanted to fight her at different points. And then she introduced Camille to the stage after Britt Baker picked up her first win back against Hikaru Shida at Blood and Guts. It was Camille introduced as the muscle and bodyguard of Mercedes Moné that really gave her an advantage. But then the feud kind of lost steam thanks to the behind-the-scenes backstage incident with Dr. Britt Baker and MJF led to her suspension, being away for 2 weeks, coming back with a video promo on the August 7th Dynamite. But then Mercedes picked up a win against Hikaru Shida, where Britt did return and got the better of Mercedes, almost getting the lockjaw on her. And then on Collision, Britt picked up a win over Harley Cameron, and then Camille just came out and basically squashed Britt. So I don't know if that was the most effective use of Britt going into this, but then they brought it home once again. Like the MJF and Will Ospreay, there was some elements of that didn't work. They brought it home and they stuck the landing on Wednesday with a really damn good contract signing, with both women talking about how they've been a part of a women's revolution with Mercedes and WWE, with Britt being the first signing and really building the foundation in AEW. Britt getting inspiration from Mercedes, but not liking this new version of Mercedes, who is just worried about the money, just worried about herself, instead of being an inspiration and a motivation for other women, and how they were going to kind of steal the show on Sunday here. So the star power is undeniable. The suspension is something that's out of kind of Mercedes control here, but I think that Mercedes establishing herself as a heel in this rivalry has probably been the best part of it. And, the introduction of Camille, bringing someone new into the women's division, has also helped. But it's this feud in general has overall helped the kind of the view and the perception of the women's division, because it's no doubt these are two major stars going at it on Sunday.
Yeah, this should have a really strong atmosphere, right? Like in terms of the crowd response. This is going to be really interesting from an in-ring point of view, because I think this is the match with the biggest gap between it's the floor and the ceiling. I think there's a version of this match that is quite bad. And I say that as a huge admirer of Mercedes Mone. I think she is a wrestling genius, to be honest, inside those ropes. But I think sometimes she can have ideas that would not be well suited to the game of Britt Baker DMD.
And Britt hasn't inspired me to have a lot of faith.
Exactly. However, there is a different version of the match where they lean more on chaos. Because if there's one thing about Britt, she'll do some crazy shit, and we've seen that before. If they lean on chaos and they brawl some and they get violent and aggressive, I think it may rock. I have no idea how this comes out, genuinely, especially because you get this sense there's weird elements at play here, right? I don't know. There's a weird vibe to some of this stuff. I'm going to leave it at that. But
I will say that first promo, which I said was one of the best ever from the AEW women's division, promo exchanges. I got the feeling that they really don't like each other. I don't know.
I like that. Yeah, that's the thing. I agree with you. It's good TV, and I don't know anything about the dynamic. It's just, there's just a weird. It's like a hint of danger ahead. I don't know. It's like we're going into a storm. It feels familiar. No, I'm kidding. But I think, look, hopefully it's the better version of the match. In terms of the finish, Mercedes has to win, right? I think it would be a mistake to take the belt off Mercedes, but hopefully it rocks, because the star power is there, as you said, and they've built it. When she's been around Britt, the build has been pretty good. So I'm hopeful. I think placement's important for this. I think this is in the first half of the show. I think the crowd will be electric for it. Deeper in the show, maybe a little bit less so. So that will be key, but hopefully it comes out well. I have some concerns, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I'm hopeful, because it feels like this is the right crowd to do this match again. If this was on the East Coast, I could see them doing a 180 of what they did at Forbidden Door, where they just started booing Mercedes out of nowhere. I could see them booing Britt because of the whole backstage stuff. But because it's the UK, and I think I'm more confident coming out of the Rev Pro show where they were chanting DMD. I had MJF, and then the Cardiff show where they were really behind Britt, that they will be kind of treating her as the baby face, Mercedes as the heel. But I'm in agreement with you as well here. I think that Mercedes Mone retains the TBS championship. And then please give me my booking. I've been saying it for 2 months now. Camille and Mercedes jump Britt afterwards. And I don't care about the rumors, reports that's been out there for a year. And it just got out recently that Britt and Jamie are not on the same page or whatever. The right move, Tony Khan, just say, fuck how y'all feel. This is the right move to do for this crowd at this spot. Y'all jump Britt afterwards, and then Jamie Hayter makes her return and sets up a big tag team match for All Out.
It makes sense. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not sure. It makes sense. You're correct. It makes sense. We'll see. Anything's possible. Wembley Stadium, anything is possible. I would not expect it, but anything is possible.
I'm not expecting it. I'm hoping and manifesting.
Yes. And you believe it's the right thing, and I think you're actually correct. Yes, fair.
Main event time for the AEW World Championship. It's the final countdown. Title versus career. AEW World title versus the career of the American Dragon. It's going to be Swerve Strickland defending against Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson earned this opportunity by winning the Owen Hart Foundation tournament in July, defeating Hangman Adam Page. And he really kind of set his sights as one of the favorites for that tournament, because he talked about how his full-time in-ring career was coming to an end in a couple of months, and that he really wanted to have his big moment and finally win the AEW World Championship. And he got his shot at All In London, but he upped the stakes for it when he went face to face with Swerve Strickland following Blood and Guts. And he said that, after having a talk with Jeff Jarrett, who Jeff Jarrett says, you're kind of talking like you're already got one foot out the door. You need to kind of go all in. If you're going to beat Swerve, if you're going to have the best chance, you need to go all in. And that's what Bryan did when he told Swerve, if I'm not able to beat you at All In Wembley Stadium, I will retire. I am putting my career on the line for one last shot at the AEW World Championship. And as someone who is I had the whole talk on the Blood and Guts review where I was like, I think we should have went with Swerve versus Hangman because that's the hot feud. One promo turned me around and I was like, my favorite wrestler might win the AEW World Championship or he's going to retire. Either way, that is the stakes that we need for the biggest show of the year. And I think ever since then, they've done an excellent job of making this feel like a big matchup. They did the whole video with multiple people asking who is going to win the matchup. They did the great matchup with Bryan and Jeff Jarrett, the no DQ match where he brought out a different side of Bryan. They did Swerve and Wheeler Yuta where Swerve just totally demolished Wheeler using the stomps to the head and then threatened to cripple Bryan Danielson in front of his family, in front of his daughter, who he said that he would end his full-time career to. And he said he's going to make sure he keeps his promise and then hit him with the house call. And then the go home segment was absolutely superb with Swerve further going under the skin and talking about kind of going out there and talking what like social media and the fans were talking about, how Bryan was talking that he's ready for retirement and stuff. And Swerve felt like that was disrespect because he's going to be the one that takes it from him, not Bryan taking it from himself. He wants to take it from him. And he was going to, even if he thinks about talking to his wife and talking about coming back, he's going to go to his house and make sure he doesn't, which led to Bryan hitting him with the Psycho knee, cutting a fabulous, fantastic promo, how he was fired up, how he is the best fucking wrestler in the world, and he has been for 20 years, and he is the American fucking dragon, and he asked if Cardiff believed he could do it, and they said yes, yes, yes. What a promo, what a build this has been. And they have really, in like a month, made this feel like one of the biggest main events in AEW history. Joe, how are you feeling going into Sunday? What have you thought about this build? Who walks out AEW World Champion?
Well, I'm super excited. And, you mapped out there that promo on Wednesday was a big thing, right? That was a big moment. Bryan kind of just cutting straight to it. And I think I've had times where I've also felt like I don't know if Bryan's temperament is the right thing, but then it kind of dawned on me that was the point, right? That was the idea of the story, which I think a lot of people, and I'm not knocking it because I did the same thing, were because they were already upset about the Hangman deal, they kind of got worked by that a little bit, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, I think they've actually pulled it off really, really well. His promo on Wednesday was so good that it kind of made me feel like embarrassed for ever thinking he was the wrong choice.
Yeah, because like it made me feel embarrassed.
Yeah, because it's like you have to be honest with yourself. Like I actually doubted the idea that Bryan Danielson should main event this show. That's kind of silly on my part, Like I felt bad. Look, I cannot wait for Dragon to make his entrance at Wembley. And I don't say that to make less of the match. I can't wait for the match, and the match is going to be great. I think Dragon is going to win the AEW World's title. I'm thrilled to actually say those words and believe them for once. But I got to be honest, I just want to be there for that moment, Like, he has been... His generation had a lot of great wrestlers, right? Like, you look at Punk, you look at AJ, Joe, you look at even guys on a lower level. Like, we talked about Daniels earlier, who's slightly before them, Roddy, all those guys. He's the one seed. Like, he's that special. He's the best of that crop, and that's saying something. He's just been unbelievable. And any chance you get to see him live is special. Seeing him live in a pay-per-view main event for the world's title with his career on the line is as big as it gets. So I can't even imagine the effort he's going to try and put in on Sunday. I hope he gets out of it okay, because I think he's telling a lot more truth than people realize about his health. Like, I think he's really beat up, really beat up. So hopefully he comes out of this in one piece. But I can't wait for the match. I think this will be very special. And I think this is the reason I'm most confident this show will be better than last year's shows, just because it's Bryan in the main event, dude. Like, it's the greatest. I think he's the greatest wrestler I've ever seen. So super excited. I got Dragon winning the belt. Like, I'm actually confident too, which is crazy of me to be confident that Bryan's going to win the world's title, but I'm confident.
First time I've been confident in Bryan winning the world championship in like 5 years. 5 years since he lost the WWE championship to Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania 35. And I think, like, as a African American professional wrestling fan, it's quite special that his last two like major big time title matches on the biggest shows of the year came against two like prolific African American wrestlers in Kofi Kingston and Swerve Strickland. And it says a lot about Bryan and the way he knows that these are big moments. And this is, like Swerve said in his great interview with Cam Hawkins for Complex, this is the biggest match of his career. And that says a lot, because he won the AEW World Championship against Samoa Joe at Dynasty. He's had this epic all-time feud with Hangman Adam Page in AEW over the last 2 years. And then you go over to the recent matchup with Will Ospreay, one of his best friends in the whole industry at Forbidden Door, which I felt like that match was the one that sealed it, that he's a made man and that he doesn't need to do much after this to kind of confirm that this title reign cemented him as a top star in AEW. So I'm okay with it all coming to an end. The one disappointment I have that I'm going to be there live is that I won't be able to hear Nigel McGuinness on the call. That's my only disappointment. So that I'm going to the show that I won't be hearing Nigel McGuinness on the call, because I feel like the viewing experience for the people watching at home may be even better for bell to bell because of Nigel than the people being there at Wembley Stadium. But I could not be there. I was ready today to break my streak for like the top two promotions. I haven't paid to go to a show. I either got media or had a friend that worked with the company get me a ticket. So I was willing to break my streak because I needed to be there for Bryan Danielson. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. I think he's the greatest in-ring performer that I've ever seen in my lifetime. I was ready to be there and pay money to be in Wembley Stadium. Thankfully, I have friends in the right places, and I got my ticket yesterday, and I cannot wait. I plan on crying during Final Countdown, and I plan on crying regardless of the result. If Bryan's retiring or winning the world title, I probably will do it with tears in my eyes. But I'm going with Bryan Danielson.
You got Dragon. You have to show confidence in you guy. How do you feel about the theory that Nigel's going to like actually get on Bryan's side by the end of the match? Because I hadn't considered it, and then someone did a tweet and was like, by the end of the match, Nigel, even though he hates him, is going to be like, you can't retire. It has to go on, Bryan. You got to win. I think that would be incredible, to be honest. I don't know if he'll do it because I know he likes to keep the dynamic going, but that would be fun. Definitely.
This is probably going to be the greatest call of Nigel McGuinness' career. Where I think he's the best commentator in the game today.
Awesome. Yeah, he's great.
And I think that he's going to have the greatest performance of his whole entire career as a commentator.
He's going to have so many lines off his sleeve. He's got the whole thing mapped out. I can promise you that. It's going to be great. That will make it worth rewatching for us in the building. We can go back and rewatch it after. I mean, it's going to be special. I can't wait to see this play out.
I cannot wait at all. And let us know in the chat if you think Swerve is going to win. I mean, there's also the Hangman Adam Page element to this. Do you think Hangman gets involved in this one?
I think there's a chance. I would avoid it because I just think it's the main event of Wembley. Like, just play it straight at this point, you know? Like, you can easily get back to the Hangman Swerve stuff. I don't think you want the finish. I wouldn't want Bryan's title win to be about something else, to be honest. Like, I think Bryan can just win the belt and then you move on. I do kind of wonder, like, what Hangman's out is in the gauntlet. I guess we'll see, but I would keep Hangman out of the main event, personally.
And love seeing WrestlePurists in the chat. Shout out to the crew over there. You guys are doing awesome work. Love to see it. Love to see WrestlePurists showing support to their man, Joe Hulbert, who's did a Broadway with me today. I appreciate you for joining us. I appreciate everyone in the chat who's been talking about this matchup, and it seems like a lot of them are going with Bryan Danielson. Some Swerve I see in there as well, but man, I cannot wait for Sunday. And Alex Powell, yes, that is a good point. Jimmy might get on the flight to call Swerve. My friend Jimmy, he hasn't been the biggest Swerve fan since his little rap lyric about Black and Ugly.
Oh, okay, fair. Fair. When you said since, I was like, this could be interesting. Then as soon as you said route, I said, yeah, okay, fair, understandable. I ain't touching that one. That makes sense, yeah.
But yes, that brings us to a close on our preview and predictions here, man. I always say this, but it begs repeating. I love talking about these shows with Joe Hulbert, one of the best in the industry. Like I gave the big introduction to, and I said it on social media, a wrestling media living legend, sir. So I appreciate you for joining me today. But I want to give you the opportunity to make your plugs. You do a bunch of great work, whether it be at the Late Night Grin or WrestlePurists. So the floor is yours. Let everybody know where they can follow you.
Well, for the first time ever, I actually have something to promote, like an actual promotion rather than just being like, oh, I don't know, find me on Twitter. August 27th, LNG Gold will launch. It's a YouTube membership plan we have coming up, and we have some big stuff lined up. We have 3 tiers within reason affordable, as much as it can be affordable to watch dudes talk about wrestling podcasts for money. I think we did the best we can with that. We launch on the 27th, and our first show will be a bash in Berlin. Watch along or grin along, as we call them. So we have some big stuff coming up. And I also will be around on WrestlePurists. I'm hoping to do a show the next couple of weeks with old Montel of WP over there. So I'll be around, but the big thing, August 27th, LNG Gold, and we're very, very excited. We talked about it before the show, right? It's big business, brother. Big business. I'm fired up. August 27th.
Yes, I've made appearances, but I'm gonna put in my request to you. I'm looking to get booked at Late Night Grin and WrestlePurists. Come on, I got I'm the new. My whole gimmick is I'm the new media Forbidden Door. But Montel and the guys at WrestlePurists, they don't want me on. It seems.
You need to have
the chat. I put it in the chat. I've sent my resume. And
you need a full contract. We don't have freelance, but no,
I can't make a guest appearance. I can't be like Will at last year's All In. Like, come on.
It's tough, dude. It's tough. We have a legal team and everything. But you're certainly going to be welcome on LNG Gold, where we have about 80 shows to fill. So I'll certainly be DMing you to do that. That's gonna be the real challenge, right? Like finding team to. We have a roster of like 25 now on the Late Night Grin. I'm sure it's fine. Definitely will end well. Every week there's a new person on the show. Like, I think they're okay. I don't know, guys. What do you think? But LNG, yes, but I appreciate the chance to plug it, and I am genuinely excited about that. So stay tuned, folks.
Very happy for you. Go over and support LNG Gold. Go over and support Joe Hulbert. And if you see him at Wembley Stadium, say hello. Say hello. I plan on meeting up with him, doing our yearly tradition that we didn't follow through on because I was too sweaty at the time that I saw him at Rev Pro. But we're going to take our selfie and post it on social media this time at Wembley Stadium. For sure.
Hopefully so. Sure. I will probably look like a complete asshole at this show, just as I did at the last show we met at, because I am definitely wearing sunglasses. And by the time the show ends, it will be pitch black and I'll be wearing sunglasses. Make of that what you will, folks. These are the choices I make. It is what it is.
I should ask my missus if she got sunglasses for me so I could hide my bawling eyes when I'm crying. It's a final countdown. But
you got to do it, man. It's this Wembley Stadium. It might be sunny. God forbid.
God forbid. Thank you for the super chat donation. I Make Beats, who says Swerve and Bryan are both faves of mine. I'm torn. So make your decision sooner rather than later. We're gonna do final predictions on AEW All In tomorrow on the True Hill Heat flagship podcast. So join us live then, 11:05 a.m. Eastern time. It'll be myself, the True Jaw Josh, celebrating our 7-year anniversary of the flagship podcast. So join us for the celebration. We're also celebrating 17,000 subscribers for the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, and we have a big special guest of Walker Stewart of NJPW, not the same person as the person I did the preview with. They proved that on LNG. So we will have Walker Studio joining us for the 7-year anniversary, where, of course, we'll be talking about Zack Sabre Jr. winning the G1 Climax tournament and his awesome performance throughout the last month of NJPW's G1 Climax. So join us live for that tomorrow. I will be there. And of course, if you're going to be at Wembley Stadium, say hello to me because I will be on the floor with my good brother, Alex McCarthy, thanks to Sadie and the Yankees.
Oh, shit. This is going to be a party. Yeah. We got a few photo ops to do. Okay, I love it.
For sure. But until then, for Joe Hulbert, for me, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been our AEW All In London 2024 preview. We are signing off until next time. Later.